Minister, Drimoleague is a vibrant village in West Cork with a very active community. However, the speed and the scale of traffic going through the village is a major safety concern. Its location is on one of the main roads in West Cork, which means it has considerable through traffic. In particular, residents are concerned about the safety of children, older residents and people with disabilities, as well as the overall quality of life. Unfortunately, this issue is found in villages across Cork South West, from Belgooly to Kealkil. It's one that I've raised with the Minister for Transport before. There is a pressing need for measures to change driver behaviour in towns and villages. I'm raising Drimoleague specifically because local campaigners are highlighting the need for immediate interventions to prevent injury or fatality. They're taking a proactive approach with the development of well-researched plans for improving the safety and the appearance of the area. Their report has identified issues around speeding, poor footpath quality, lack of accessibility, and inadequate road conditions. A survey of 50 households in and around the village revealed the scale of issues involved. Almost 3/4 of people were aware of incidents involving vulnerable people that resulted in injury or potential injury as a result of speeding, traffic or poor conditions on the roads and footpaths. Based on this work and through discussion, they're proposing traffic calming measures were proposed in line with the Department of Transport's traffic management guidelines to prevent injuries or worse. The plan includes additional zebra crossings, especially for school children, an enforced 30-kilometre speed limit, a roundabout at a dangerous junction, and a complete overhaul of the road markings, which are essentially non-existent in most of the village. It's a very strong and clear proposal highlighting the immediate needs and the passion of the community. And it's a pity Mr. Eamon Ryan isn't here today, as I'd like to have given him a copy of it, although it shouldn't be necessary. There's a strong desire in the community to work with the Council and the Department to resolve these issues. The group has also put a strong emphasis on accessibility. Their survey identified a portion of the local population with a disability or access needs, including older people, wheelchair users and people with visual impairments. Poor quality footpaths and road surfaces impact on their capacity to leave the house, to socialise and to participate in the community. Better quality infrastructure will help improve active transport measures. For example, the school is on one side of the village, but most of the newer housing is on the other side of the village. So students want to be able to walk to school, but they need safe infrastructure to be able to do that. Last year, as part of a consultation I did with primary schools in my area for the County Development Plan, the main priority identified by the young people was the capacity to travel safely to school themselves, either walking or cycling. More broadly, these safety concerns and poor infrastructure are impacting on the quality of life in the village. When it affects children being allowed out or older people with reduced mobility going to the post office, it starts to threaten the economic viability of local services, the pharmacy and the shops. Minister, this is a situation where a clear need has been identified by a local community and they have developed the required solutions. They have a plan and a passion to improve Drimoleague. They are also eager to work with the Council and the Department to implement this plan. Minister, what assurances can you give the people of Drimoleague that the Department of Transport will work with them and the Council on these issues, and what will the Department do to ensure that they are fulfilling their obligations going forward, leaving it up to communities to have to go above and beyond to get the absolute bare minimum has to stop?
Thank you, and I would like to thank Deputy Kearns for the opportunity to address this matter in the House today, and I'm speaking on behalf of Minister Eamon Ryan and also on behalf of Minister of State Nocton directly in the department here this morning. So it's important to note that the Government is funding active travel at an unprecedented scale, and the Government has allocated 360 million per annum to support infrastructure that makes walking and cycling safer and more attractive for journeys to work, to school and for all types of journeys all over the country. Most of this work will be led as a byproduct to the calming of motorised traffic. Narrowing roads, installing cycle tracks, whether fully or partially segregated, contraflow cycling routes, one-way systems for vehicular traffic, all of these can play a part in slowing down traffic and thus making it safer for those walking, wheeling and cycling in our cities, towns and our villages. As part of that funding, we are also specifically supporting Safe Routes to Schools, which was open to all schools to apply for funding. Unfortunately, it seems that no application was made by the school in Drimoleague for this funding support. So there is a special scheme for schools in relation to Safe Routes to Schools and it appears an application has not been submitted to the department from the school as part of that scheme. Funding generally is not the issue that it was in previous years, given the level of funding that we now make available. Funding through the National Transport Authority of over 20 million was allocated to Cork County Council earlier this year. This shows the commitment of the Government to supporting active travel in County Cork. I understand from the National Transport Authority that an application was made by Cork County Council to support works in Drimoleague, but given the sheer amount of applications for funding made by Cork County Council, it was determined that the work would be progressed in the future rather than in the first phase of projects this calendar year. So there's an exceptionally high number of applications from Cork that need to be assessed with a view to having a clear line of projects in place for the coming year. I further understand that a number of projects have completed in Drimoleague over recent time through funding various schemes, including the CLAR funding and the National Transport Authority. Of course, active travel funding is not the only funding available to address the issues identified in Drimoleague. There is also the Safety Improvement Scheme. It must be remembered that the improvement and maintenance of regional and local roads is the statutory responsibility of each local authority in accordance with provisions of the Road Acts 1993. Works on these roads are funded from local authorities' own resources, supplemented by state road grants. The initial selection and prioritisation of works to be funded is also a matter for the local authority. And local authorities can apply under the Department Regional and Local Road Grant Programme for funding for safety works. Application for funding at lower cost improvement works under the Department's Safety Improvement Scheme are invited in order of priority on an annual basis for consideration for funding in the subsequent year. In submitting projects for consideration, local authorities are required to set out the collision history of the work site and outline how the proposed project would reduce accidents and address a hazard. Individual projects costing in excess of €200,000 are outside the scope of the scheme and fall to be considered under the Specific Improvement Grant Scheme. So to date, I understand no application has been made under the Safety Improvement Grant Scheme from Cork County Council for works in Drimoleague under this particular scheme. So essentially, I suppose the situation is I've announced about 4 or 5 different streams of funding that are available across the different departments, maybe 5 or 6 actually, I'm not quite sure. And some of those headings, applications haven't been submitted to date. And I think there is an opportunity for, especially from the school side, to make an application with the local authority, which hasn't been received in the department at this stage. Thank you.
Thanks for your reply, Minister. And I'm raising this matter today because of the urgency involved. Like I said, dedicated locals in Drimoleague have highlighted the issues. Now the Council and the Department of Transport need to act to prevent injury or fatality and to improve the quality of life in the village. And thank you for recommending the Safety Improvement Scheme. I know Cork County Council has applied for other funding streams, but we'll also ask the school to put one in relation to that. But the larger problem is the manner in which important safety issues like this are resolved. So communities are directed towards particular schemes all the time, rather than being assured of very basic infrastructure. Good quality footpaths and roads should be the minimum communities can expect. Residents and businesses pay their taxes and their property taxes specifically for these services. Too often communities essentially need to compete for funding, apply through all these different schemes, like you said, you just mentioned 6 there yourself, and when it's awarded then every TD and Senator tries to claim the credit for doing it. I raised a similar issue recently regarding Kealkil last year with speeding through the village. No road markings whatsoever, no crossings for school children, and it was only thanks to a particular scheme that those problems will now be addressed. It's actually just not a sustainable way to ensure road safety and equal opportunity for all the villages, to rely on communities to be lobbying for these schemes. It's just, these are the bare minimum basic safety measures. The role of the Department of Transport is key here as a body that sets out standards, and there must also be more effective enforcement processes. But ultimately, people pay their property tax. They expect the very basic bare minimum. And the funding that you referenced that Drimoleague already got, that's like for a tiny extension of a footpath. Like, that's not something that we should be, you know, having a fanfare about. Like, they deserve so much more than that. All communities do.
And I do want to thank the Deputy for her contribution to the discussion today. And safety is at the heart of what we're seeking to achieve with our investment in transport. It behoves all of road users to concentrate and to consider all other road users to slow down and be observant. And in the wider context of road safety, this is set out in the Government's 5th road safety strategy, with the Road Safety Authority has overall responsibility for implementing this. So on the 15th of December 2021, the Government and the Road Safety Authority launched Ireland's Road Safety Strategy for 21 to 2030, along with the associated action plan for the first phase running from 21 to 2024. And the programme of government is committed to introducing an ambitious road safety strategy targeting the vision of the Vision Zero principle, and we will introduce road safety strategy focused on reducing death and injuries in vulnerable road users, pedestrians and cyclists. But I think the Deputy and the conversation here this morning is instructive. I think most counties have found now that there's such a variety of schemes out there that it's a full-time job for maybe a number of people in local authorities. And we're just talking about roads here today, about 6 different schemes, and the same can happen for housing, the same can happen for playground, and there's such a variety of schemes. And what's really, I often feel there needs to be maybe more joined up between the schemes, because you can apply for 4 different schemes, but there's another scheme a council didn't apply for. So really, I think I would ask the local authorities in general to make sure that there are people are aware of any time anything is going in under any particular aspect, that they are aware of the full range of schemes that could contribute to that, and to make applications under them all, because as I think we're all familiar, some schemes get good funding and some schemes are not applied for. So there is need, I think, due to the number of schemes, for good coordination in application, in applying for funds under these schemes. Thank you.